Marshall in the middle.
And we're here. We're live. Okay, Marshall in the middle. Welcome to the NBC Room. We are live in the Terror Dome. Me and First Sergeant Mitchell in the dungeon. We're making plans and prepping like the crazy tinfoil hat conspiracy. No, I'm just joking. Hey, but no, we got a good show for you guys today. We're addressing some of the toxic situations that are happening across the country. They range from the Don Lemon thing that we previewed to you guys to riots, ICE riots, to what is actually happening on the ground. Why is the turmoil? We want to cover these topics and we want to open up the chat. We are inviting people to come and talk, share your opinions on the topic. You know, even if you disagree with us, feed us some stuff so we can communicate, because all in all, this is really about communication. That's how we get to the bottom of it, man. How your week been, Top?
So I've been interacting with you all week, and of course with Sergeant Major Plotnick and so many other people. Colonel, I don't think the Colonel's going to be able to make it. He said he's got a meeting with all the generals today. So It's like, you know, I've been talking to my mom about it. Mario's on here with us. Tony was on here just a little bit earlier. It's a different kind of place that we're in all of a sudden. And you sent me to talk about succession, and I'm like, what the frick are you talking about, man?
Right,
and in one way, it sounds like, you know, tinfoil hat conspiracies, but all of a sudden you do just a little bit of search and it's like, oh, okay, well, I didn't ever think about it like this. And then look, you just sent me the thing, and we're going to talk about it later about what Virginia's done in like just the past like 20 days or something.
Right.
And some of it's just like, what? I'm not allowed to count. I can't. I can't count. Hold on. It's just really an interesting place to be. So I've invited a bunch of my buddies and friends and stuff to be on and to watch, and different folks have I think will show up. This is episode 1 of what we're calling the NBC Room, you know. So we're getting a little bit of feedback now on you know, YouTube is coming in, and it says we got a few folks watching. I know you've made a kind of an intro video. Why don't you tell me what's going on, man? Tell me what you got planned.
Well, let's talk about the purpose of this show. This hour block that we're working on, right? The NBC Room. It stands for Nuclear Biological Chemical. All right. That's what I was. I was a nuclear biological chemical specialist. I was under the command of First Sergeant Marshall, and my job was to detect threats, assess them, figure out a game plan on contamination, decon, and, you know, making sure we survive the situation. So me and Top were 2 soldiers. We got a lot of the same doctrines. We're in different lanes and we had different duties, but we're bringing them together here to do an analysis of some of the things we see. And we're going to do this on a weekly basis. This is going to be a consistent thing. I told Top the other day, man, I do this to the day I die, right? You know what I mean? This is something we could do, and it's the least we could do to give back, because when we signed on the dotted line saying against foreign and domestic, we meant it. You know, and that doesn't mean because we're retired or we're sitting down that it's time to go ahead and say, you know, call quits on what we got to do. You know, my job as a toxic threat detector didn't end, it just changed. I might not have all the nomenclature down and the NSN numbers that I used to have locked away in my brain at one time, and all the equipment that we have in this still in the background. Yeah, I don't have a room like that anymore, but it's still my duty to figure out what's going on and try to, you know, give healthy analysis. So this intro video, I want you guys to lock into it real quick. Top is going to pull it on up full screen. It's basically with more insult, or giving a baseline of what today's show is going to be about. Go ahead and make it full screen, Top.
from the leaders here in Minnesota. The olive branch is constantly extended, and it's swatted away because of anger and resentment.
Right now, as we speak,
the majority of the American people will do the right thing. And I think there cannot be very many people across this country looking right now, after all the reporting that's been done, after everything that's been said, under the pretense that they are here about immigration reform, and quit referring to these people as law enforcement. They are not law enforcement. And quit referring to these people as law enforcement. They are not law enforcement. I want Minnesotans to hear this from me. The desire to get out and protest and to speak up to this administration of how wrong this is, that is a patriotic duty at this point in time.
Footage has emerged of Alex Pretty, filmed 11 days before he was fatally shot by Border Patrol officers in Minneapolis on January 24th.
They are not law enforcement. They are not law enforcement.
In the footage, filmed on January 13th, Pretty is seen here, shouting expletives and spitting at a federal immigration agent's car during a protest. He then kicks the agent's vehicle, breaking a tail light. The agents exit their vehicle and a scuffle takes place.
They are not law enforcement. They are not law enforcement.
Get up and go!
They are not law enforcement.
Man, look!
Not too bright.
Right? I don't. This one in particular, like, it's just weird. It's just weird the entitlement that somebody thinks that they have to stop a ambulance or a police vehicle or a, I don't know. And this is crazy too. Now this is nuts. This is a federal building, right?
Right.
Where's the it just nuts. It's just nuts. And these
law enforcement.
I like what you did there with the not law enforcement. I get it.
They're getting the operation together again. This is an operation that is secret, that they invited folks out. Can't tell you what is going to happen, but you're going to watch it live unfold here on the Don Lemon Show.
Okay.
How are you?
Good.
To see you. We're on. We're not saying what it is, what's going on, but thank you. Tell us why you're doing this.
So
This is Nakima Levy Armstrong. She's on the show
Nakima
on
Levy
Friday.
Armstrong, civil rights attorney, longtime activist here in the community. And, you know, we protest and do activism in all kinds of ways.
Oh, so that's the lady that did the protest in the church.
Yep.
Did she get him arrested also?
He did.
This is Operation Pull Up, more of a clandestine operation. We show up somewhere that is a key location. They don't expect us to come there. And then we disrupt business as usual. So that's what we're about to go do right now. We've had a lot of success with the times we have done Operation Pull Up.
You did get arrested.
Very complimentary, and it was repudiated with more insults from the leaders here in Minnesota. The olive branch is constantly extended, and it's swatted away because of anger and resentment.
right now, as we speak.
So I see what Van's saying. But look, no matter what, I guess there's some lady that Lemon was talking to, and they were agreeing to go.
Well, I can address that if you want. We could, I want to, derail the conversation for a second. It's no problem. Let me pull up a video of who she is, or the article on when she got arrested. Right. It's three of them, her and some of her compadres.
Right. She describes herself as a lawyer, and an activist. So
protest. All right. Her name is Nikema Levy Armstrong. All right. A prominent civil rights attorney and activist, was part of protests of City's Church in St. Paul, Minnesota. The protest disrupted service, leading to the arrest of Armstrong and others involved. The arrest was made in connection with the disruption of services at a church where a local official with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement serves as a pastor. The Attorney General's office announced the arrest, citing the disruption of worship services as a violation of the FACE Act. The arrest of Armstrong and others involved in the protest has been met with support from church lawyers and Justice Department, which opened a civil rights investigation. All right. So that is who she was, Nikema, same person. What to say? That's a different lady, another journalist, NAACP VP, I think. I think you might be mixing up the circumstances of what I'm portraying here. The situation from Don Lemon's situation, when he followed that lady and her group into that church, this is all of that footage was from one scenario. And I just read you the fallout of what happened to that lady and a couple of the other individuals that was in organization and coordination with it. So yeah, I don't know exactly who you're talking about, Van, but yeah, this is a different individual. But yeah, for the most part, with what I just laid out with the intro video, we have a situation in our country that is extremely toxic. We have, for the first time in history, a sitting governor since the Civil War, sitting governor has announced in a press briefing that federal agents or federal law enforcement is not law enforcement. Now, I don't really. I'm not trying to play the role of whether he's right or wrong, or whether the individuals on one side or the other may take it as right or wrong. What I feel personally is that this is a direct assault to the union. It doesn't matter whether it was right or wrong or not. A governor in his position should not, if he wants to continue leading his state in unison with the union, you can't turn around and just blanket sheet cover that federal agents aren't law enforcement because you don't like what the mandate has become from the election. Elections have consequences, which we will be getting into shortly with the Virginia stuff, because elections have consequences, whether you like them or don't. A lot of stuff that's going on in Virginia, I don't personally have a taste for any of that stuff, but the people that voted for it, I hope they do. But a lot of them don't even know what they got themselves into. So my thing is, if you have an honest election and we have an honest outcome, and there's a perspective coming out, one thing we as citizens, as people in this country have to do is realize that we have to come to a common ground to, at least at the very bare minimum, understand that the law is something we have to agree to deal with. If anybody was kids and played cops and robbers, right? If you attempted to be the robber, you knew that the game was you had to not be caught by the cop. And if you attempted to be the cop, you knew the game was to always try to catch the robber. If you decide to play the robber, you're automatically acknowledging that you're going to be the bad guy. You're going to break the crime. Now, your job is to elude the law enforcement. If you end up getting caught by the law enforcement, you lost the game. This is just pure basics in reality. But we have to agree what law enforcement is. We can't just make things up because a new administration is in charge when 10 years ago, nobody cared about ICE. Nobody cared what was going on. Nobody cared about the deportations or the kids in cages, or nobody cared when Obama was doing these things. And I get it. There may be a difference because people just don't like Trump or don't like Republicans, but that doesn't matter. You didn't vote for Trump in the first place. That doesn't give you the right to totally say, damn it, we're going anarchy style. law enforcement doesn't matter. People voted for this. If you believe in democracy, you should adhere to the democracy. There was millions of people that felt like Biden did not win the 2020 election. And there's still a lot of things. There's a lot of things coming out right now in Georgia that kind of, hey, they're admitting it in hearings. They're admitting it in hearings that 315,000 voter records weren't. We're going to get into that too. That's going to come on some upcoming episodes. But you're having a lot of discrepancies. But guess what happened after January 6th? People on the right shut the hell up, and they dealt with it. When Biden came in and signed all those executive orders shutting down all those oil fields in the Dakotas and in the north, central northern states, guess what the Republicans did? They shut up. When those coal miners couldn't have a job anymore, they shut up. I didn't see them tearing up the cities, burning up people, fighting law enforcement. It's because they lost the election. They lost the vote. They lost their side. Yeah, you might have some bitching and complaining online, disgruntledness, but there's a different level when you start taking it to this extreme, anarchy. So ultimately, what we're seeing right now is diametrically opposed philosophies, realities, worldviews that can't be reconciled. They won't be reconciled. The clash and the divide is too hard. So it behooves me in my mind that there's no reason to even keep trying to push to keep this thing together. If you have a toxic relationship, sometimes you have to make the separation. Sometimes there needs to be a divorce, because if people get to figure out what they lost, sometimes it may fix it. I've seen plenty of relationships where people been together 15 years, they get a divorce for 3 years, and next thing you know, they die together after another 40 years together. Why? Because they learned a valuable lesson in realizing what they thought was on the other side. The grass was always greener until they figured out it wasn't. And in our system, in our society, we have such a wonderful setup where you could actually make this happen. The voters and the people can actually take back power. You have to have motivated politicians that want to go ahead and separate from the union and let the popular vote in their states actually dictate what the reality is. What am I suggesting, Van Hooven? I'm suggesting and advocating for secession. Not because I want to, not because I desire it or I dream about it or anything like that. What I am advocating for is nonviolence. The fact of the matter, we're heading down a stark cliff where there is no fixing this. That you have media consistently motivating certain people, putting batteries in their backs to do self-harming things that makes literally no sense. You have people shooting and killing each other over ideas, over the disagreements. It doesn't get better from here because our realities are totally different. And what I'm suggesting is people need to get out and get on their congressmen. You need to start the conversation of taking back control of your state, getting things back to a state and localized communion. We are such a big populous nation at this point that there's so many different ideas and different ways of what they think is right. I think regionally, you should start actually paying attention to that more regionally than having one big government, one big Fed over your head, and nobody agrees with it, and it just keeps causing more strife. If you want a sanctuary city, vote it in. Your governor is your president. If Tim Walz wants a sanctuary city where he's reducing the crime law, reducing violent law punishments, he's making sure that illegals can run freely, don't have a problem with it, why not? Let it be. If that's what y'all want, vote it in, and we can make that happen. And then everybody can have what they want in the states that they vote in. You have states in this country that are solid blue: California, Minnesota, New York. Well, New York is a kind of sketchy situation. You got the cities, which is the most populous area, but the rest of the state is red. I think districts need to be broke up. I think people need to start speaking up because there is no forcing together when there is no homogenous communities anymore. All right. I don't see that coming back together. Here's a perfect example of what I mean. Top, can you play 201?
Yep. Right away.
in power here, but let me quickly
to that point, actually, I think it's really important to note that this week President Trump met with these leaders, and he came out and he said great things about them. If you read his post, he was very complimentary, and it was repudiated with more insults.
Okay, 201's not playing.
Hold on, let me.
With more insults from the leaders here in Minnesota. The olive branch is constantly extended
against those who are in power
You're
here.
correct,
But let me
to
quickly
that
get
point, actually, I think it's really important to note
dangerous
that this week President Trump met with these leaders, and he came out and he said great things about them. If you read his post, he was very complimentary, and it was repudiated with more insults from the leaders here in Minnesota. The olive branch is constantly extended, and it's swatted away because of anger and resentment.
Right now, as we speak, we have Keith Ellison.
Let's address the laughter in the room. You're hearing that laughter because people see it the other way, that the president has been the antagonist.
Honestly, I think a large part of that is the way that media is spinning it. We saw, that's a real problem. Media is not addressing serious issues. Just in December, the Star Tribune here in Minnesota.
All right, so context on this video. In Minneapolis, these are conservative representatives that are giving their take, giving their point of view, talking about what they see, what's factual, what actually is going on, what the communication was coming from the president after the meeting with Tim Walz and upper management, upper leaders in the city. And he's saying that he said good things about him. He was saying that they're working together. They're trying to get things together. They're trying to fix stuff up. Everyone in the crowd, which were liberals, laughed and poo-pooed this situation. This is one of the biggest problems, the communication breakdown of the pomposity of certain individuals and condescension, condescending manner at which people think that they just know better. They just know better than you. They feel like they already have the higher moral ground, so they don't give a damn what you're saying, even if it's true. And if you don't think it's true, to back up the evidence, could pull up, share my screen with the raid with the arrow. All right, so here we go. Trump describes very good call with Walz signaling similar wavelength. This is from The Hill on Minnesota. Dated January 26th, all right? President Trump described what he said was a very good call with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, in which they seem to be on similar wavelength amid growing tensions between federal law enforcement and protesters in the state. Governor Tim Walz called me with the request to work together with respect to Minnesota. It was a very good call. We actually seem to be on a similar wavelength, Trump wrote on Truth Social. I told Governor Walz that I would have Tom Homan call him, which, if you guys have been paying attention, you guys see that Tom Homan has now taken over and got the Border Patrol guy out of there. He's actually on the ground now trying to, hash some things out. And that what we are looking for are any and all criminals, and they have in their possession. The governor very respectfully understood that. And I will be speaking to him in the near future, he continued, reiterating the request made on the social media platform that day. All right, Top. So essentially, here's the evidence of what these guys are laughing at. But the problem is, for almost 15 years, the same response every time. Oh, there's good guys. Trump said there's good people on both sides of the Charlottesville situation. You look into it. No, he said, and I totally rebuke white supremacists and nationalists. They need to be condemned. But people still don't even know this. Why? Because the media, exactly what they just laughed at him about trying to say. Instead of most of the time they don't do their research, they don't dig into the topic, they don't want to figure out what the truth is. They want to run with CNN's narrative or any other left-wing narrative that they give pushed in their face, and they just like, fuck it, because it fits their worldview. I'm saying that, yeah, if you guys want to keep down that rabbit hole, the best thing, if you don't want to communicate, the best thing is to go ahead and start advocating for secession. Because the reality is, when our kids are grown, when they inherit this turmoil, and Trump is long gone, Nancy Pelosi's long gone, Schumer's long gone, Obama's long gone, they're going to be fighting death battles behind this shit that we're putting in their face right now. They're going to be, I could go today. I was telling Top earlier, I say, shit, my life is in a decent space. Hell, I could just go and ride off into the sunset and don't give a fuck about none of this stuff. But the reality of it is I got kids that's coming up in this world. I got a reality that there is a legacy coming in this world, coming from me. And if everybody started focusing on their kids and what the future holds for them, we can all start working better and building our communities back. But that's not the case. You got a lot of these liberals out here that are radicalized and they don't have a future. Their future is fighting battles on social media. And the sad part about it is something true term limits for political position. Yes, I 100% agree with that. What Ryan say? Tom Homan went in, held a press conference, and Trump went behind him the next day and said something totally different. Do y'all think this is new? Your boy sure does cherry pick information just like he says the left does. I'm cherry picking information in the context of what I'm talking about. You got to realize my conclusion hasn't come from just over the night I scratched my ass and said, fuck it, I'm going to come out and say some dumb shit. I've been watching this shit for 12, 13 years straight and analyzing what's happening on a consistent basis. How can I actually effectively communicate to you guys how you're getting played in a 15-minute segment without pulling out bits and pieces of what I'm trying to build up to give you? All right. So it's not about me trying to cherry pick and manipulate any situation, because that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to actually alert you guys to what's actually happening. There is a beef on two sides, whether you like it, whether I like it, and these two sides are irreconcilable for many a topic. And there is no coming back to the common ground. That is what the alert is for. There is no common ground. I could concede to you all night. That doesn't change the two diametrically opposed sides and realities that are digging deeper and deeper into their wedges. Now, I might agree with one side more than the other, just like some of you might agree with the other side of what I agree with more than the other. It doesn't change the fact that we can't see eye to eye. When you call somebody getting arrested from ICE and they're an undocumented citizen, a documented citizen, and I call them illegal, and you're saying that they got kidnapped, how are we ever going to come to the common ground of it wasn't a kidnapping? He got arrested. When I broke the law and I had cocaine and all that type of shit in my car, guess what? I got kidnapped? No, I got arrested. Okay? You don't get kidnapped from breaking the damn law. And if your first thing you do when you come into the country is break the damn law, then guess what? How can you have any other rights on your side? You already broke the law. You haven't even fixed the initial situation. So the reality of it is we have to be realistic in some of the things we're talking about. All right. So let me take this off real quick, Top.
I can just imagine getting a call from you. Hey, Top, I got kidnapped by the cops. The MPs kidnapped me, Top. I need you to come get me.
Yeah. Top, I just added something to the stage with Josh Hawley. Could you bring that up?
Yeah.
This kind of enters
evidence should control, not politics. Absolutely. So let's just test that proposition. Can men get pregnant?
I take care of people with many identities, but...
Dr. Verma, I wasn't sure I understood your answer to Senator Moody a moment ago. Do you think that men can get pregnant?
I hesitated there because I wasn't sure where the conversation was going or what the goal was. I mean, I do take care of patients with different identities. I take care of many women. I take care of people with different identities. And so that's where I paused. I think, I wasn't sure where you were going with that.
Well, the goal is the truth. So can men get pregnant?
Again, the reason I paused there is I'm not really sure what the goal of the question is.
The goal is just to establish a biological reality. You just said a moment ago that science and evidence should control, not politics. Absolutely. So let's just test that proposition. Can men get pregnant?
I take care of people with many identities, but
can men get pregnant?
Many women that can get pregnant. I do take care of people that don't identify as women.
Can men get pregnant?
Again, as I'm saying,
let me just remind you what you testified to a moment ago. Science and evidence should control, not politics. Absolutely. So can men get pregnant? You're a doctor, I think.
Science and evidence should guide medicine.
Do science and evidence tell us that men can get pregnant? Biological men, can they get pregnant?
I also think yes/no questions like this are a political tool.
No, yes/no questions are about the truth, doctor. Let's not make a mockery of this proceeding. This is about science and evidence, and I'm asking you. The United States Supreme Court just heard arguments yesterday at great length on this question. This is not a hypothetical question. This is not theoretical. It affects real people in their real lives. And you're here as an expert, called by the other side as an expert. And you've been telling us that you follow, right, you're a doctor, and you follow the science and the evidence. So I just want to know, based on the science, can men get pregnant? That's a yes or no question. It really is, I think.
I think you're trying to reduce the complexity of a lot.
I'm not. I'm trying to get, it's not complex. I'm trying to get to an answer, and I'm trying to test, frankly, your veracity as a medical professional and as a scientist. Can men get pregnant?
I think you're also conflating
This is
male
extraordinary.
female with
No, I'm not conflating male and female. They're two different things. There's biological men and there's biological women. And I want to know, can men get pregnant?
what you were talking about is biological.
You're not going to answer my question. it sounds like.
Biological males.
This isn't hard, doctor. Can men
enough,
get
man? Does it go
pregnant?
on?
Yes or no?
I would be more than happy to have.
Oh my gosh.
I think we get the picture of
That's
this, right?
crazy. I mean, I don't know, just whatever. It's an interesting thing to be put in the situation where you have to like that you would question somebody. I don't know. I'll tell you a situation I was put in, and I don't know if you put me in it, but it was somebody asked me the other day if I was a capitalist or not. Right?
I think I asked you that.
It was it you. Yeah. You're like, are you a capitalist? And I was like, well, I've never had to establish myself as a capitalist. I never, thought about that. Right? I never thought that was something that I would ever even.
Most people don't, right? Like, especially those of us that, like we did, we got our start in the government sector, right? We never were really in the private sector. I got out after 8 years and went into the private sector, and took a roundabout way to being a business owner over a matter of 15 years afterwards, right? So as I became a business owner and wanting to understand how to be a more successful business owner, I had to end up learning values that actually complemented what I learned in the military as far as organizational structures, hierarchies, technical and tactical knowledge. But what I had to also understand now was markets, supply and demand. I had to understand means of production. I had to understand GDP on a macro and a micro scale. It looks like we got Ryan. Could you back up the comments before it disappears? I don't want to miss out on the comments. It looks like we had some decent comments coming while I was playing the earlier part. Is there any way to roll that back?
I'm rolling it back on my screen, but I don't think I can roll it back on this screen here.
Okay. So what I do see, it says, it just disappeared. It says from Ryan Van Hooven, this is a little too far out there after one-sided for me, y'all. Good luck, guys. Hey man, hey Ryan, I'm sorry if anything I said offends you. That's not what the aim of this is. And it may be too far out there. This is not the taste for everybody, but this is one thing I can say before you go. You can ignore politics, but politics won't ignore you. And there is a certain level of reality that we all need to come to at some given point in time. The video of Nicole Good, when she got shot by the police, the ICE agents, her wife was yelling at the ICE agents, "You used real bullets?" Like she was shocked that cops have guns with real bullets and will use them in these life or death situations. It doesn't matter if you didn't think he should have felt his life was in danger. If he got hit by the vehicle and he is trained to react in a split second, especially you soldiers out here, if you've been in combat, you realize that those fast twitch muscles work in tandem. They work in tandem. You don't have all day to sit back and Monday morning quarterback some of these certain situations. Would I have liked her not to die? I wish that she didn't die. Hold on, the comments starting to move again. Transgender soldiers that were going through procedures were not deployable for 4 to 6 years and could not be placed on assignment due to the treatment. This placed undue burden on the other soldiers with multiple deployments. Exactly, man. I got out before that was a thing, you know. And Top, you remember killings in our unit? Man, that was like my little brother. And everybody knew he was gay. All right? Everybody knew it. He wasn't hiding it. But I was cool with him. I didn't have a problem with him. It's not about having a problem with what you do in your life or anything. But once you become a disruption, like Craig Evans is saying, now we have a problem. You know, there was a reason why in the 90s it was don't ask, don't tell, because we had to have an orderly, organized method of moving and communicating and building our squads to move in certain ways. Everybody had to be effective. If you're constantly on hormone treatments and you're going through surgeries and you all out of whack, this is also a mental thing, man. The minute you wake up and you say, look at your Peter and you want that thing gone, yeah, man, something's not there. You need, I like I said, I don't mean to offend, but that is my opinion. And if I had the right or the power and responsibility to make that decision, I would be making a decision that the current administration is making also of removing that from the rolls. There's no reason. That's not a good effective fighting force. And anybody that's seen combat knows I'm not lying, right? Jeffrey Mills, she deserves to get shot. She put him in danger. You know, deserved. I think she moved and acted in reckless abandon. She didn't care whether she harmed that officer or not. She just thought that she was entitled to be able to do whatever she wanted because she felt like she was morally right. So that being said, she got a Darwin Award, in my opinion, because you don't operate like that with the law. You have to respect the law. That's why I highlighted in that opening intro that we have governors and different politicians. That wasn't all of them. Man, you know, Mayor Frey is talking the same nonsense. You got sanctuary cities in San Francisco. You got sanctuary cities in Chicago and New York. You got the new socialist Mayor Mondami. He's talking the same nonsense. How much more of this are we going to do? You got a segment of the population that doesn't want this as a reality. Does their opinion not matter? Do they not have an opportunity to speak their reality? You get what I'm saying? When we talk about our rights and our privileges, it's based off of what right do I have until I start stepping on your rights. That's what this whole Don Lemon thing is about. What right did Don Lemon have under the First Amendment to stop those people in middle worship in a private church? After the pastor said, could you leave? I should have put that part in there. The pastor, when he was interviewing the pastor gave him a couple polite answers. And then he told him, he said, hey, look, can you please leave? I need all you guys to leave. Don Lemon refused to leave. What did he do after that? He said, why don't you try talking to him? The pastor turned around and said, I tried. Don't nobody in here want to talk. Does anybody in here look like they want to talk? All of them are screaming and yelling. They tried to continue the service over the yelling. Played music, started back worshiping. They're still in the back acting a damn fool. If this was a Muslim mosque, that would never be happening. That would be an outrage all over the country. It's not right to be able to say that fuck their rights, fuck their privileges, fuck what they thinking, just because you feel some kind of way. Your rights end where theirs start. And if we can't respect that and you try to justify these things, guess what? We might as well divorce. What are we doing? How much are we going to do of this until we start actually just out in the street shooting each other?
Okay. All right. This portion of the program brought to you by Penny A. Cox Esquire. If the popo's chasing you, call Penny. That's the one who's going to come and save us all. So thank you, Penny, for giving us a chance to take a deep breath and relax. And we're not. So who the heck is the enemy, man? Is it going to be is it going to be on like racial divide? Is it going to be black and Latino and Mexican and white? And is it going to be, I'm from Alabama?
All of the above, Top, in my opinion. It sounds bad, but all of the above. That's why in the last episode, remember I told you I'm a black nationalist, right? Right. And this is not me saying I'm a black nationalist and I hate white people, Mexicans. I put nationalism above my ethnic identity, all right? But I cannot help but understand a realistic factor that for the last 250 years, it's only been us. We got each other. You know, yeah, we done had a rocky past as different races as Americans, right? But the black is just an identifier because I'm a populist. And I do respect the fact that there are some white nationalists that don't want shit to do with me. That's their right. I don't care about that. A white man can't stop me from doing a damn thing. There's nothing a white man can do to stop me. There's nothing a black man can do to stop me. It's on me to bring excellence in my life. It's on me under the system we have. And that's why I love the system we have. That's why I fought for the system we have. And I want to keep the system we have because it gives a lot of opportunity for all of us that are born in this country. That's why millions of people want to be here. Yes, there will be a divide, cultural, ethnic, because that is the design of Marxism. Follow me on Loose and Reckless. There's a good video I got up on Marxism versus communism that I think you guys can go and get a little idea of where I'm coming from with Marxism. The design, and just a quick touch, kind of throw you off, the Communist Party of USA was formed in 1919. And a lot of people don't even know that it's an active party right now. Any of you can go to the website right now. Matter of fact, top share my screen again, the Ray up. I'm going to pull that up. Just, we ain't gonna go too deep on derail the actual topic of today, but I just want you guys to see this, you know, to understand what I'm saying. All right. Are
we gonna find that you're like the founder and the co-vice president of the CPUSA?
Say again.
Are we gonna find out that you're like the leader of the CPUSA?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Heck no.
Okay, I didn't know. I was like, you about to, like, your face would come up as a senior vice president or something.
Oh man, no. Okay, let me see. I'm trying to open it on the current tab, but it won't let me. Matter of fact, let me just copy it and paste it on the same thing because this thing is acting crazy. All right, copy.
Van wants to know if we're going to decide on political affiliation as part of the differences. You know, I think politics goes away quick when you're looking at your neighbor for how you're going to power your house.
All right, so the Communist Party of America was established in 1919, and nobody realized that this is an active political party today, right? This is they donate millions and millions of dollars, right? The biggest problem that I see with communism and Marxism being pushed in this country is the only way communism and Marxism works, if you go into the Communist Manifesto, is dividing the people through bourgeoisie and proletariat. All right. And the identity of these bourgeoisie and proletariat is all dependent upon oppressor and oppressed. It's based off of who can be victimized. It's based off of who is the victor. These are identifiers. And what we have in this modern society that we have, especially coming from the left, is everything is divided by lines, especially sexuality and skin color. And they're trying to make sure that everybody understands that there's a oppressed class, marginal class, and they use that to manipulate. I was manipulated for half of my life as a victim in my head. I was walking around like I was just, woe is me, it's always the white man. I was taught that. That was the culture I came in, until I actually got to spend some time with white people and understand that maybe it ain't just white people. I had to at least start opening up to that, right? I had to figure this thing out a little bit. We look like we missing comments. Yeah, it says and it's coming from the hands of the wealthy in this country. They have mastered the art of breaking up segments of the population, and we turn on each other while they pillage us from within. I guess from within is what he's trying to say.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, I definitely agree to a degree, and I think it's a little bit bigger than this. We have a elite class of globalists, right? If you ever catch the Davos Convention, the World Economic Forum, these conventions that happen every year where these guys fly in on their jets and they all sit here and try to pre-plan and plot what's going on in the country or in countries globally and what their new agendas are. And you know, the whole idea of 2030, you own nothing to be happy, which I see how that's actually playing, because a lot of people are happy to be taken care of. So I mean, there's a lot to dive and unpack in that, but I do agree, terrible that there is a lot to be said about that. But I think it's more from outside on that situation than within. Ryan Van Hooven said, I voted for Trump. Yeah, cool. Ryan Van Hooven said, don't agree with what he is doing. Guess I'll be on an island. You know, I voted for Trump. And sadly, I think he should be doing more. I've been paying attention day by day. I am happy with a lot of the things that he has done. But believe it or not, people don't want to admit this, but he's very on par with Clinton from the 90s as far as his spectrum of what policies he's pushing and what legislation he's putting into operation. The only thing I say that he's done better, truthfully, is his domestic policy. Clinton was giving away our jobs, and he's actually battling and trying to keep trying to bring manufacturing back, giving incentives for large corporations to come back here and start hiring. I see a different problem in the horizon that I don't think he's ready for. Well, I don't think any of us are ready for it. It really is less about Trump than it is about any of us being ready for it. We got AI job closures that are happening at a breakneck speed, but we'll have a topic on that too. I don't want to get too off in the weeds. Craig Evans, great podcast to follow as well. Real Red Pill Farmer gives historical reference to current situations. Thanks, sir. Thank you, Craig. Ryan Van Hooven, if you agree, how can you support Trump? If I agree with, I'm not sure exactly what you're asking. If I agree with what? Get the back history from Red Pill Farmer. Okay. Ryan Van Hooven, it's all good, man. I in no way agree with what you're saying, but I respect your right to say it. Thank you, sir. That's really what it's all about. It's about the communication, man. If we could talk, one thing that, you know, from my perspective, I sat there and watched a guy get murdered a couple months ago on live TV that I watched when he was a 17-year-old newbie coming on the scene. And I believe that he actually was nowhere close. He was probably one of the last ones on this side that actually was trying his damnedest to have open communication. All right. And people don't realize how extreme things are about to get, because when you keep shutting people up and acting like I showed in the CNN's clip of condescension, people are going to get more radical. You can't keep poo-pooing and acting like people don't matter or people don't think what they think. And I get it. So we're heading down a path that, yes, we will have all types of divides. Top, can you press the play on Wait 100 Years?
This is crazy, man. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Zarian and some of the softer ones like Dave Smith, the libertarians, I understood, but let's see.
You think this is extreme? This is moderate. I am a moderate. You think this sounds crazy? You think this is extreme? You think what happened over the weekend is a tragedy? Wait until our country is murdered. Wait until our country is murdered and Rome falls. You think this is a tragedy? A lesbian poet and a male nurse? Wait until you see them destroy the Colosseum and Big Ben and the Eiffel Tower. Wait until you see the works of Shakespeare and Goethe and Mozart burned to the ground by a post-literate, non-white, non-Christian society. You think this is a tragedy? Wait 100 years. People say it's too heavy-handed because they're deporting 500 people per day with a couple hundred cops. Seriously? They say, well, this is like the Gestapo.
Thanks, Huey.
You know, Dave Smith says, these guys are pussies. I'm a hardcore libertarian. Bro, where is the place for liberty in Zohran Mamdani's America? You're a libertarian? Dude, these people wipe their ass with the Constitution. They wipe their ass with the Magna Carta. I don't like government jackbooted thugs killing Americans.
Yeah, that blew.
All right, so Nick Fuentes is pretty much labeled a white supremacist. He is ultimately a Hitler supporter, a Nazi, all of these good things. And there's a level of truth to that label, because I think he's a shock jock with it. And I brought this clip up, and this is another clip that I want to show from him also. But I brought this clip up of him because he's very relevant. What he is warning of is, yeah, you think this is radical now? Just wait, because I'm nothing, is what he's saying. You think I'm radical? Just wait till you see what these people are telling me in my comments, in my DM. And he's nobody to be poo-pooing. This guy has millions of followers, millions and millions of followers, millions of young Gen Z men with high testosterone, with no guidance, that follow him as guidance. And not saying that I disagree with everything he says. I don't agree with everything he says, but I do acknowledge that he recognizes the problem. He recognizes the toxicity. Me and him probably would never be friends, but I've seen him talk to black people and have open communication. He's not a racist where he just doesn't want to be in a room with you. He's more of a guy that feels like he has a right to not force himself to be around people that's not like him. He has a right to care. My culture, I come from a culture where it's easy for us to come out here and throw out black power, black-owned businesses, support black only, right? Let a white man say some shit like that. And then there's all these mental jump ropes and hoops that people got to jump through to justify why white men shouldn't be allowed to say that. Well, how long can you keep beating up on the white man with this intellectual hypocrisy and dishonesty before a lot of them start feeling like they're being shit and gaslit? You know, nobody wants to be lied to in your face. Nobody wants to keep getting this stuff spit at them like this. And I understand the turmoil, but it is people like that that are out here by masses that are feeling neglected and also feeling like people don't give a fuck about their ancestry or their history or their culture. And most of it revolves around the American ideals, the e pluribus unum, the idea that you're coming into this country and you're going to get it from the grit. You're going to work together. You're going to add value to your economy. You're going to add value to your community. You're going to be a good neighbor. You're going to fit into the ethos of America. You're going to understand the amendments. You're going to understand the Constitution and the privileges you have. But what he's claiming about these ethnic enclaves is the fact that you got millions of people flooding in, and they don't want to assimilate to what America is. They don't want to learn the idea of what it means to be American. And I think that should be slowed down. We should slow down how fast we are filling our country up with people that aren't from here. You know, it's like you go to sleep every day at your house and your sister or your brother is just constantly leaving the door unlocked, and every morning you wake up and there's 2 more people on your couch, but you're paying the light bill and you're paying the phone bill and you're paying the refrigerator, you're putting food in the refrigerator, and next thing you know, every day is a little bit more that your cost is going up, but you're supposed to be the nice guy and be accepting, let them keep coming in. And then when you start telling people, no, hell no, we need to lock this fucking door, this shit's getting expensive. Now you're a fucking Nazi, you're a racist, you're all this extra stuff, and I understand that complaint. We as Americans, my great-grandfather on my mother's side, born a slave, died a free man with owning land, right? He did good for himself and the circumstances that he had, but he was American. He was Black American. His history and everything that he went through was an American story. He can't relate to a person in Zimbabwe. He wouldn't be able to relate to a person in Ghana, right? Like, we got to be realistic with what we're doing. But if you bring 1 million people in here from Ghana, or 1 million people in here from Zimbabwe, or 1 million people in here from India, how can they all of a sudden allocate and start understanding our principles and values overnight when they don't even care? And we don't give them the incentive to do so. But then the ones who legally do it, get in line, wait in line, get their paperwork done, come into the country legally, take their citizen test, understand what this country is about. We're like, fuck them. They did it the right way. But these guys over here, they only waited 5 months. They just snuck in the back door. That's a breakdown of law and order. That's a breakdown of the agreement. We don't have the agreement anymore. We're not working together. We're not a homogenous society anymore. All right. So we can't just pick and choose what laws we want to not agree or disagree. It needs to be changed at the legislative level. We have a lot of stuff going back and forth over the last 20 years on the executive level that should have never been, because Congress didn't want to do their job and they wanted to just sit and ride for years on the government, on the people's tabs. Term limits. Somebody said term limits earlier. That's exactly what we need. There's no reason why when I was born, Nancy Pelosi was in office. And here I am, a 43-year-old man, and Nancy Pelosi is still one of the most influential people in Congress. man, if you don't go sit your old ass down somewhere, there's too much of the corruption inside of our politics. But the thing is, our populace is not aware or paying attention. You know, most people just want to live their life. Most people don't want to tune into this shit all the time because it's toxic. And I get the feeling sometimes I don't want to talk about this. It's not hurting me. I'm going to die before shit gets worse, right? And I got a decent life in front of me right now, but my kids aren't. You know, my grandkids got to deal with this. We all should care about that. If you care about the rights and freedoms that you grew up with, and you want that for your kids, you should be acting on it by constantly investing your intention into what's happening on both sides, all sides. Now, you might not agree with one side, but you got to hear it. You got to try to digest it and try to do it from a place of neutrality to where you can make an objective reality, a stance on it. And if you totally disagree, then you totally disagree, and that's cool. But it doesn't have to get bloody. It doesn't have to go bloody. But if we already understand, I want to live a certain way, y'all want to do the sanctuary stuff, do it. You want to be a socialist paradise, do it. Could you pull up Virginia law, the Virginia new law?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it right there. Look at that.
All right, so they've been in power for literally a week, and this is what they hit everything with. Somebody asked in the last session we did, when I was starting to mention this, he said, is this no different than what Trump has did? No, it's not. It's not at all. Executive power, we had a monopoly on the House, the Senate, but the problem, what I'm pointing out is you have a lot of states like Virginia that don't like that shit. So look what their answer was. New 4.3% sales tax on Uber Eats, Amazon, etc. deliveries. New sales tax on admissions to a wide variety of businesses. Create 2 new higher tax bracket of 8% and 10% on the people making over 600K. A new 10% tax bracket. Top, is the comments still there? Because I'm not seeing them come up anymore.
Yeah. I pulled them off because they were distracting you too much. They're still.
Oh, it's all good. I want to keep engaging with them, but I get it. I get it. Create 2 new higher tax brackets of 8% and 10% on people making over 600K. A new 10% tax bracket for anyone making over $1 million. 3.8% investment tax on top of state income taxes. It raises the hotel tax. New personal property tax on landscaping equipment. Ban gas-powered leaf blowers. Why? Ban. Guarantee illegal aliens free education. Make it illegal to approach somebody at an abortion clinic. What happened, Top?
Yeah, so let's talk about some of this stuff. You know, it's really interesting. You know, Craig says 50 new taxes. They ran on affordability. They're talking about trying to tax the rich and you know, I can't believe, you know, they're banning leaf blowers. You know, that's kind of crazy.
It's like she sat in her house one day and heard the leaf blow outside, and she says, "When I get in power, I'm going to stop that shit. We ain't gonna do this anymore."
So I want to highlight something so Craig is still part of our air defense branch. He's a big guy over scheduling who goes where in the assignments process, and what he's talking about here is America breaking away. The thing though that we're talking about is Americans breaking up with each other. We have a certain group of Americans that are no longer even willing to be in the same room with another group of Americans. It's like that group of people has been vilified somehow. It's like it's really weird to think that that this group of people. I'll give you a personal example. I had a letter. I wrote an article on Facebook, like I do. I write all kind of essays on Facebook, and a lady that was part of our church board wrote me a letter back and said that, you know, she fully believed that her dad was rolling over in his grave as a veteran, wondering how I, as another veteran, could possibly support somebody, you know, as vile as that person, you know. And I'm like, wow, you know, it's really an interesting kind of a spiritual environment that we're in that causes us to be one against the other. It really takes us. We have to begin. You know, you and I were talking not long ago about the spiritual part of this, and you know, we've been doing this almost an hour now. We're just going over an hour. Let me tell you that I really appreciate your view, and I appreciate you being, at least in my life, you're a signal, you're a screaming, you're going, hey, watch out ahead, right? And I'm over here driving down the road going, what's going on, you know? And you're flashing your lights at me and, you know, saying, hey, Top, I respect you. Let's talk about something here that a lot of people aren't talking about. And you know, it's really wild. When I started researching it and seeing how we were stretching, how some of this stuff was stretching, and how certain laws and certain rules we didn't pay attention to at all. And then other rules we paid a lot of attention to, apparently. I'm afraid, I hate to see what we've done to our local law enforcement. We've hid them behind trees and put them in unmarked cars, and they've given out DUIs to us as part of the Gestapo for a long time, and now they're the enemy. Every kid that was riding in the back seat, they spot the cops and point them out. You know, hey, there's a bad guy, Dad. Hey, there's a bad guy. You know, and so you can't help but create a culture where the police officers aren't seen universally as somebody that's good, even though we might state they're good behind their back. We're definitely looking for them on the road. It's really wild to think that we were indoctrinated in such a way to think that because we have a certain skin color, or we speak a certain language, or we have a certain background, that we have to believe a certain way. You talk about how your family has caused you issues with, you know, feeling a certain way. I'll tell you that my family got upset with me when I'd registered as a Democrat for a while. You know, I don't blame them looking back on it, but I thought, you know, personally, I thought I had a chance to maybe affect something, to even register in that way. And I was trying to get Biden to make sure Biden didn't run again, because I was out to lunch. That guy wasn't even present ever. So anyway, one of the things that I'm appreciative of is that we have a connection, that we can talk about these things, that we can have a discussion. And Mario's been in here with us the whole time, and he's been watching us, and you know, he's kept quiet, chewing on his gum and rocking his chair back and forth. And I appreciate you, buddy. I'll get you in here if you got something you want to say. And Craig Evans has been out there, and Van Schoonhoven. You remember Sergeant Van, right? You remember Sergeant Van? He went with us to Korea, man. And so Terrible and everybody else that has commented and talked about what we've got going on. This is about a connection. The NBC Room. Oh, look, Mom's there! Yay!
Hey, Mom!
Yay! Yay, look at there. And David Chauvin's there. And I'll tell you, it's really wild to think about. It's really wild to think about the connection that we all have, and the love that we all have for one another, and the shared foxhole experiences that we've had. And I mean, if you've dug a hole with somebody and then had a meal in that hole with somebody you dug, you know, it means something. And Ray, you and I have done that for many a day. Mario, you and I have done that for many a day, and everybody else. I really appreciate it. Tell me, I'm not trying to necessarily close the show out, but tell me just for a second some good news about what's going on. What's happening that we can look at as good news? Is there something that's on your mind?
Well, I think one of the good things that we are doing, there are a lot of people that are starting to become more vocal. I see a lot of people trying to push away this narrative that the media is falling apart. There's a lot of blunders that they're making that is kind of opening up doors. I think that in reality, some of the things that I'm learning about AI and what we have in the future I think we have a great future as humanity if we choose it, if we want it. And I believe there's more good people than bad people, right? I really do. What I worry about is the conflicts that I feel are inevitable. It doesn't get better until it gets worse, right? So asking what good news, most of the good news is all in my personal life, in my personal family, you know, very good news. I got, you know, things going on with my kids. They're amazing. They're doing amazing for school, stuff like that. But these are local, these are individual wins. And on a community and local and state and governmental reality, I think that some things are bad. There's some good things happening that a lot of people are going to say are bad, like the fact that Tulsi Gabbard has went down there to Georgia and Fulton County and is actually trying to square away our elections. So we don't have some of these things that have happened in the past where people are doubting certain elections. But the problem is there's a side that ain't going to see it as a good thing. So what are good things to me are very subjective, and it's hard for me to square them with in totality of all sides. You know, what I may see as good, it may be horrible for a lot of people that voted differently or look at the world differently from me.
Well, make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. It's fun to be doing a Marshall in the Middle series again. This is called the NBC Room, and Ray's my old NBC sergeant, and we planned many a time together to go out, and we performed successful mission after successful mission. We table 12 as a unit together in Korea, and if you understand about all the Patriot stuff, it takes a lot of training, it takes a lot of patience, it takes a lot of teamwork to do things like that. And the table 12 means that it's in an NBC environment. And so I had to lean on Ray because he was my expert. He was the guy that made it all happen. He runs Loose and Reckless over on the YouTube channel, so you got to go over there and check it out. It's Loose and Reckless over there. I've been a guest on one of his shows. We had a good time. And, you know, thanks everybody for coming on board. We appreciate it. Y'all have a good night. We're going to have a good one for next week. So y'all stay tuned. Make sure to like and subscribe, everybody. Good night, everybody.
Marshall in the Middle.